get put in receivership, they're tactics. Those could be targets for bigger and better. But okay, so you've written this letter to your landlord, and you've asked for a face-to-face meeting, and he doesn't respond. You hear nothing back. So what's the next step? What's the next plan? The tactic will you take to be heard?
Where is this landlord?
Well,
Fictional landlord?
your fictional landlord, or it could be your actual, like is your landlord, do you know who that is? Or is it a property company?
It's an individual who owns several buildings and keeps a very high wall between him and tenants.
A high wall. So he's hard, this landlord's hard to reach, and he just completely ignored that letter, right? Which could very well happen in a certain case. And so that's when you gotta take it up to the next level and maybe go to your alderman and say that your landlord's not listening to tenant concerns, and we're doing something here that is, that's supposed to be good for everyone. And your alderman does care. Every alderman has a housing person that's supposed to deal with those issues and have a renter's rights issue, a renter's rights person there. So that's when we start talking about some direct action stuff, but we wouldn't go there for a long time.
Define direct action.
Direct action, sort of dropping the honey and only bringing the vinegar along, making it so you cannot be ignored and you will not be ignored, and you will do anything to make that happen. That could be going to the media about it. That could be going to show up at your landlord's home that he keeps very guarded. That could be, forcing the building into receivership because of a landlord that doesn't.
Going the legal route.
Yep, going the legal route. Yeah. So you can apply these strategies by looking through what your goals are, what you have as your resources, who your allies are, who your target's going to be, and what your tactics look like to almost any problem that you have. You want a stop sign. You want, you want your landlord to take care of the bedbug problem. All of these things, if you think through step by step, who you have in your corner, who's not in your corner, and how you're going to make things happen. And stating what your goals are in the beginning, And it can be as simple as getting those light bulbs changed, or it can be as big as getting a boiler changed. And that boiler is going to be a long conversation, right? You're going to need documentation to show. So that's something that we should expand on. How are you going to prove to your landlord that your boiler is a mess? Both of you. You both have bad boilers.
I don't know if I've had a bad boiler.
You don't know if you have a bad boiler? Maybe it's just not an efficient boiler? Well, you said it's drafty in some places, right?
Yeah, well, I'm on a first floor apartment with the entry hall right underneath my living room.
Right underneath your
And it's an unheated entry hall, and there's no insulation between the entry hall and my apartment. So the living room, part of the living room floor
It's
is
very
really cold
Yeah, when you
because
walk
that
over.
door is opening and
Closing
closing
all the
underneath
time.
there all the time. And one end of the bedroom is cold, and I'm assuming there's an unheated basement or something underneath that part there. So I don't know that it's the boiler's
Then it's the
problem.
boiler's fault, but it could be the
Problem.
insulation problem, right? And they're losing, the boiler's working too hard, and it's losing energy because of that. But how would you show to your landlord that, how would you illuminate the problem for him?
I told him.
You told him?
We talked about it.
You talked about it?
Yeah. So
I don't believe you, I'm sorry.
he did.
He did.
Well, I mean, I think he knew it already.
He knew it already, it's
He
not
knew
as
it.
great, he didn't just buy the building yesterday, right?
No,
It's
he's
like
had it for
it's
20 years. So.
Right,
And he
tinkers with it.
he tweaked the sensors for the radiators.
Oh, okay.
So now it's too warm where it's warm.
It's too warm. Okay.
And so I'm actually trying to get him to back it off a little
Yeah.
bit and look for another solution, like a space heater for that cold area.
Okay.
like that.
Um,
I'd like to talk to him about insulation eventually.
Insulation,
But it's
yeah.
gonna be complicated.
yeah,
I
it's
used
hard.
to
He's
do-
got to pull out the walls, you know.
Well,
ceiling.
something, yeah,
Yeah, something like that.
yeah.
But if you wanted to illustrate your point, you would need to show what the temperature is in different parts of your unit at different days of the week, at different times of the year, at different document. And to create a portfolio. You would want to do the same thing. It's 90 freaking degrees in here, and I'm sitting in my underwear, you know? And to have that documentation about what's going on. You know, even a video or of, there's some really great hints here about like, how to know if your window's drafty or not. If you can pull your dollar bill out, take a little video camera and show it while you're doing that, you know. Take a picture of the, you know, the things that are, go around your unit and look for the holes that may be letting in the drafty air or something like that. Taking pictures, documenting it, and then telling your landlord, hey, there's a hole here. Why don't you fix that in about 2 weeks, within about 2 weeks? So that's actually what like the residential landlord tenant ordinance, they give you 2 weeks to fix it. And then you can either start taking off money or do something else. But that's, I mean, that could be a tactic that you would use is to do rent reduction. If you have holes in your apartment or holes in your unit, you know, things like that. But what you should do is let him know that there's a problem first. You should write him and let him know that there's a problem. I mean, you said you sent him an email and said it's super duper hot in here, right? Did he respond back to that email?
Yes, saying, you know, they're meeting the basic, or the minimum standards.
The minimum
and
standards.
Because you're on the 3rd floor, more heat.
More
goes to
heat
you
comes
and
up,
everything
yeah.
like that, so.
Okay. It might be worth your time to go out and talk to the neighbors below you and say, are you getting enough heat? Like, are you also hot? And then you can come together as a group and say, all 3 of us are really hot. So you're exceeding your minimum standards. So let's do this, right? But it should each come from each of you documented with that heat journal of some sort. You know, just having that documentation so that you can compile a case in a portfolio of sorts to bring to them. To make your case, you want to make your case that it's going to be better for them in the long run, efficient, and all that.
Doesn't seem like that should be a first step, though.
No, that's a tactic that, I mean, it's part of the first step. I mean, when you go to your landlord and you want to have that conversation with them, you should know what your side of it is, or what your complaints are, or what your experience is, and be able to say, or I mean, he might actually, or she might suggest it to you also. Like, oh really, it's really hot, why don't you go and take some temperatures throughout the day, you know? But it's the same end, you're gonna have temperatures throughout the day that you can show. To say, this is not right, or something like that. Or here, check this out. You know, but you should write to them first to let them know about that problem. And if that problem does not get fixed, that's when you start compiling
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
That's right.
Otherwise, if you come with,
Yeah, like your case,
it's really confrontational.
It's super confrontational, yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, even writing a 14-day letter, which is what the 2-week letter, can be considered very, 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 very confrontational.
Sure.
It can be. Because a lot of times you take the option, if you don't fix it, I'm going to withdraw money. Or I'm going to fix it myself and not pay you. Yeah, but that's like different. That's like, those are like parts of your argument to make for going green and making this happen in your apartment building and your weatherizing. And I'll tell you something else though that people should know is that I work mainly with subsidized buildings, and HUD like mandates that their buildings are weatherized every year, you know? So there's a precedent set out there that buildings should be weatherized and they should be working towards energy efficiency, you know? And there's no reason why market rate renters shouldn't also be getting the benefits of that. The only reason that HUD buildings, have this mandate is because there's an accountability agent that's over that. So you don't have a specific accountability agent, but you can find those accountability agents like your alderman, or like your the landlords association. Maybe you find out your landlord is a member of a union or something like that. I mean, that's pretty That's confrontational. I know that you're a member of this union, and I'm showing up at your union house, and I'm going to do this. So, those are some. Do you have questions, comments, concerns? What do you think?
I just thought of another long-term project.
Okay.
A rooftop garden.
Oh, that's a lovely idea. What a lovely, lovely, lovely idea. That's going to take a really long time of documenting things. And
Structural, whether the structure can support it.
whether the structure can support it, what are the safety concerns around it.
Mhm.
So that's going to be that research and that, that you and your core group of people are going to really have to, make your case and think about negotiation as like a tennis game, He's going to give you a rebuttal. You're going to come back with, we're going to have a guardrail up, and there's going to be, big balloons down on the ground if anybody falls. I don't know. Or maybe that you can turn it into a money-making thing, or, that you can sell your herbs and your flowers and whatever else at the farmer's market, and you can donate it to general repair funds or something, You gotta think of all the ins and outs. But that would really make a building nicely protected and energy efficient and beautiful.
The landlord in my previous building put a lot of money into having the roof redone.
Mhm.
He didn't let anybody
Right.
even walk on it
Yeah.
because he didn't want to have,
Right.
damage done.
Yeah. I'm sure he went up there occasionally though and had a fun time. Speaking of, do you have a flat roof or do you have a arched roof? Do you know?
Mine's
Or-
flat.
There's this flat on the top floor.
Mhm.
You are baking. You are literally baking in there.
It's a nice warm place.
Yeah, it was a nice warm place. Is it bad in the summertime too, huh?
Mhm.
Yep, pretty bad, huh?
See, in this previous apartment, the landlord, when he had the roof redone, they insulated all that. I was on a third top floor apartment and it was not hot.
And it was
How
not,
does
huh? Oh, because they just did that insulation, huh?
That insulation
Huh.
really
Well,
made
we
a
just
difference.
got a new roof and apparently they didn't insulate.
They
it.
decided not to
Yeah.
insulate. See, that's gonna be something that you have to work against, is the
Mhm.
fact that he just did this new roof, So, you're good 10
Do you have
years before
radiators?
it.
With the radiators, so.
You turn them off?
Yeah, I just read.
You can turn them off for the most part, but a lot of them are old and the excuse is they can't find the right part. So not all the radiators have the knob to turn
Have
it
the
off.
valve?
They've always
That you
done
should be
that.
able to, that shouldn't be that hard.
And actually, you can demand that they do it. It's not your fault that they
Mhm.
can't find that part. It's up to them to find that part.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that it said don't shut off vents or something like that to regulate the heat because it makes it less energy efficient. I totally do that in my apartment, so I have to go home and think about that. But I wonder if that's the same with radiators. And you probably need your radiators flushed, right? You probably need to be flushed.
Yeah.
How long have you lived there?
Going on 5 years.
Oh boy.
So,
The longer you live in the place, the more you own that thing.
yeah.
I mean, for real.
I'd look into getting the valve thing taken care of, because in the apartment I was in, there were 4 radiators, and 2 of them I used, well, one of them I never used, and the other one I used only when the temperatures got down to almost 0 outside. The 2 radiators just kept the whole place comfortable most of the time.
Yeah.
Radiator heat does kick it out.
Yeah, I don't want to complain too much.
Yeah.
It's
It's cozy, like in
Yeah.
Chicago winters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I think, when does, what part of the year, or how?
June 1st.
It's June, it is June 1st.
September 15th.
That's
to
oftentimes,
June
it's
1st.
normally May that's the worst time.
Oh
When you
yeah.
have it's actually nice out and you have your heat going and the
Yeah.
radiators. Even with them turned all the way off, they still emit heat, so.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it goes all the way to June 1st, and it's just because of this weather that we're having right now. So, that's the reason for it. So, and we don't have any regulations for cooling. We just have heating in the city, but we do have a large elderly population that really do need to have that heat for as long as possible. And I wish for them in the summertime that we would have a cooling level that was acceptable also. But boy, that would be hard on landlords. And I don't know if we've been through all that, but it would be nice for the seniors out there. Oh, what time is it?
It is 8.
8:02.
Okay, well, does anybody else have any concerns or anything like that? We might be able to go out there and join them and hear what condos think about.
See how the other half looks.
Yeah, see how exactly.